And the board relies on local councils to assess community needs and make recommendations for program funding. Periodically, they'll put out RFPs, which are requests for proposals, that people in the community can apply for. And we as a local council look at it, see if it's an assessed need or in the area of the needs that they have determined for this area. And then we either approve them or pass on, okay? Last year, well, it says this year, so I think this is the one I printed off for this year. They will award over $900,000 in grants, and grants must be reviewed and approved by the local council in order to be eligible, which I don't think a lot of people know that. We're certified one council per county per year, and we've been doing this for the past 2 years. So I have some websites if y'all need that, but a couple of the programs that they have been funding through those RFPs are the Thrive Home Visiting Program, which is for pregnant and parenting teenage mothers. Safety baby showers, which is actually what it is. It's a baby shower where you get all sorts of items for the baby, plus you also do education about what to expect, safety concerns, those kinds of things. Then we also recognize National Child Abuse Prevention Day. Y'all have any questions about what we do or how you can get involved? Because we welcome anybody. We only meet about once a month, about an hour. We've been meeting out at the DHS office because it's real central to SAU, and the other people that are working can get there pretty easily. If you're involved with any community activities, like, I don't know if that's one of Delta Sigma Theta's, goals or whatever, but, if you have an agency, or, like I know Angie works with a lot of at-risk kids, if y'all have something that y'all come up with, and we'll help you find out if it's funding available for it. Because I know a lot of people are getting their budgets cut, and any place that y'all can get money, that's really good. And I think the grants are like anywhere from $35,000 to $40,000. I'm not sure exactly. I think it just depends on what you're planning to do with it. But no questions? Yay, now it's Kim's turn. She's got a presentation about, which one were you doing?
Prevention of child abuse,
Okay.
Columbia County. And I'm so appreciative of all of you coming today, and I hope that I won't bore you to tears, but I want to talk a little bit about child abuse and what is going on in Columbia County to prevent child abuse. I have been working in this field a long time, and in my work with families, I tried to help them to get the resources that they needed in the education and to be able to parent their children in a healthy way. And one of the things I learned in all those years of working in child abuse and neglect was that I could not do it by myself, and a family cannot do it by themselves. We all need help, especially when we've got that brand new little tiny baby, and nobody needs to be by themselves in that situation. So I just want to talk a little bit about preventing child abuse and neglect and the cost of child abuse and neglect. Recently there was a study called the Adverse Childhood Experiences Study, and this looked at child abuse, child neglect, also a child who grows up in a home where there's domestic violence, and a child who grows up in a home where there is substance abuse or mental illness and those types of things, and the effect that it has on that child. And what they have found is that those adverse childhood experiences lead to social, emotional, and cognitive impairment for the child. And that may be learning disabilities, it may be depression, it may be conduct disorders, all of those types of childhood problems that so many of us see are often related to that adverse childhood experiences. And then after that, the next thing that happens in the lifespan of a child who has experienced these adverse experiences is health risk behaviors. They are more likely to be use substance abuse, more likely to have mental health problems, more likely to not be able to achieve properly in school. And so you can see how this lifetime of ill effects that begins with child abuse and neglect and other adverse childhood experiences, which later leads to disability, disease, social problems, crime. We've heard for years that when you talk to people who are in prison, they have often experienced child abuse in their lifetime. And then also the health effects of alcoholism, illicit drug use, all of those negative societal effects can so often be traced back to these adverse childhood experiences, including child abuse and neglect. So the good news is that we know there are things that we can do to prevent child abuse and neglect, and that's what I would like for us to talk about a little bit today. But first, I want to introduce a few people to you who are working every day on the front lines to protect children and to prevent child abuse and neglect. And Mitzi Ammons was going to speak to us today, and she was really excited about coming, and she's going to be really mad at herself when she realizes that she forgot, or else they got busy, which happens in labor and delivery at the hospital. Surprise, surprise, but you just never know what's going to happen in that department. So Mitzi isn't here, but I talked to her at length about this, and they do the prenatal classes, and they are using some videos and other tools to help parents, young parents, new parents, to understand what they're going to be facing when that little baby goes home, and the issues of crying and how to soothe the child, swaddling, all of those things. And they are also doing, Angie, the safety showers. And AHEC has, our new AHEC that is coming to town, has funded the child safety seats and other things for the hospital to do their safety showers. So that is some exciting things that are going on with our hospital and with AHEC coming in. I think that we're going to have some real intervention and prevention efforts with young parents, because one of our most one of the saddest things when it comes to child abuse and neglect is that children under the age of 1 are often the most harmed, and especially when it comes to physical abuse and the shaken baby syndrome and those sorts of things, because I don't think any of us really expect how much and how long that baby can cry, but it's very frustrating, it's very stressful. And so anything that we can do to help new parents to be more proficient in understanding how to care for their infant, and also more proficient in how to manage the stress that comes along with having an infant. And this is something that we have talked about in our local council to prevent child abuse. We really are hoping to be able to come up with some more things that we can offer to new parents in terms of education and support, concrete support, and resources for young parents, so that any child that's born in Columbia County can be born into a community of support for his or her family to have a more healthy childhood and a more productive lifespan. So, I will not able to introduce Mitzi, but I want to introduce someone to you who is very dear to my heart, with some people who, whenever we talk talk about hometown heroes, and you know, we talk about our police officers and our firefighters, and I always think my hometown heroes are our child protection workers, because they are out there on the front lines every single day and night and weekend, saving children from child abuse and neglect, helping families to prevent child abuse and neglect. And so I would like to give a special recognition to our child abuse protection workers with the Division of Children and Family Services. Jeffrey, would you stand and introduce your staff that you brought with you today? Jeffrey Williams is the supervisor of the Division of Children and Family Services for Columbia County. And I want to give you a
we don't. This is our most important month. We have other months such as foster parent month and adoption month, but this is our most important month of the year. And my goal has always been to not have any children come into care this month. Well, it wasn't cool because it just happened yesterday. And that's why all of my staff aren't here. They are assisting with other things, but I do have one of our family service workers with me today, Crystal Williams. And Crystal is a seasoned worker. All of my staff are seasoned. I don't have anybody that is less than 5 years old, which is a very good thing. And you all can be very proud of Columbia County. I say you all because I don't live here, but I take care of Columbia County. I take care of Columbia County, and we have probably the least number of foster children here in Columbia County out of all of Southwest Arkansas. And that's one thing that we pride ourselves in, is that we don't want to keep children in foster care when they have families that they can go to. And we work extra hard to make sure they get to that family and get out of foster care. So that's one thing. We can't stop all the child abuse. We can try to prevent it the best that we can. And as far as prevention goes, it takes a whole community. As far as prevention goes, it takes more than us. It takes more than us. Because if you can stop something little from turning into something big early, then you're helping us. You're helping us. But rest assured that Columbia County is well taken care of, and your children are well taken care of, because they don't stay in foster care very long. And that's one of the things, like I said, we pride ourselves on, and we will continue to pride ourselves on.
And next, I'd like to introduce to you a young woman who is representing court-appointed special advocates, or CASA. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with CASA, but they do some excellent work in Arkansas protecting children. And so I'd like to ask Jamie Daugherty if she would stand up and just give you a brief description of CASA and what they do.
I'm Jamie. I'm the volunteer coordinator for CASA for Columbia County. What we do is we work very close with Jeffrey and their staff. And I can vouch, most of the kids that we do work with, we have to go drive out to their houses in these odd places because they're not in foster care around here. But what we do is we work with children who've already been removed from their home due to domestic violence, abuse, whatever's going on, and just kind of, Judge Chandler calls it a second set of eyes and ears, just to advocate for that child that they're in the best possible home setting, that they are with family instead of in foster care, that they're getting the counseling care, the medical care that they need, just kind of go above and beyond to make sure that they are in the best possible setting. Because they've been removed from an abuse setting, they've had a really rough life, they've had a lot of negative things going on. So if there's somebody there that can make the transition a little more positive when they're going into a different home or being moved around, then that's what we really like to do. We do a big fundraiser and do Christmas gifts for them every year. We do fundraisers to do birthday gifts for them if we can. We work with some of the psychology classes here to do court bags for them when they get made so that they have something to play with or snack on while they're in court. And so it's just trying to go that extra mile to make sure that the transition and the situation for that child is the anyone knows of anyone, our office is downstairs in the community offices here on campus. And so we are always looking for people to volunteer in whatever capacity they are willing to do so.
And Jamie has brochures for
Oh, yes.
everyone at your table about CASA. Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate that. And then the other special person that I would like to introduce today is coming to us from Hempstead County, and she is our foster parenting liaison with the Division of Children and Family Services, Ms. Gail Perry.
I'm the resource worker for Hempstead, Columbia, Lafayette County, and basically part of my responsibilities are to recruit and retention. And by recruitment is going out and trying to find foster parents. And in Hempstead County, well, in Area 4, we have a total of 134 foster care cases. That's 228 foster children in this area alone. We have 41 slots to place those children. So by saying that, I'm saying we don't have sufficient slots to accommodate the foster children that come into care. We're operating in crisis mode right about now across the state of Arkansas. And that's where, I need you all's help. I need foster parents. I need people that are willing to listen, willing to go out and spread the word, to tell others that, it's just not DHS job, it's everybody's job. Am I my brother's keeper? Who is my brother? And I feel that we're all, should carry some of the weight and responsibility of this role. And some of the requirements for foster parenting is that, at one time you had to be married, or you had to be single, or married for 2 years. And they removed some of the restrictions so that we can have a bigger pool of people to choose from. So you have to be between the ages of 21 to 65 to be a foster parent. You can be married, single, divorced, or possibly cohabitate with, we don't have, some states have a ruling at 2 years, but we can't certify you if both partners are interested in attending the training. You have to attend training, be able to pass background checks. We come in the whole process of recruiting and training, educating you, because you don't have to have all the skills necessary, but we will work with you to educate you, because if you've been a parent before, you know that all your studying and all your schooling doesn't always prepare you for that role. So we do work with you, and we work as a team, the caseworkers, the supervisors, CASA, to make you feel comfortable in this role. There's a subsidy that's involved for foster parents. We can never pay you, but it kind of offsets some of the expenses, the room and board that foster children incur while you're in their home, and you may end up spending some of your money, but not a whole lot of it in the role as a foster parent. Foster homes are needed from children from birth to 18 years. Let me see some of the other requirements. Some of the other requirements for us licensing tells us that you have to have an ABC fire extinguisher within the kitchen. You have to have smoke detectors, window to the outside, 50 feet of space per occupant in a room. You can have up to 5 foster children in your foster home, but we'd like you to know that that's your preference, and as far as age and sex and all of that, that's also your preference. I looked at one of our reports last night, and it showed that we have over 4,000 children in the state of Arkansas in foster care. And I think those statistics are alarming, being that we only have 1,100 beds in foster homes. So that means that these other children are either serviced in shelters or acute placement, residential, but someplace other than a family setting. And we know the family setting provides the best setting for our children to foster, to prosper. So again, I say that, I'm in Columbia County, I'm housed in Hempstead County, and I really need your help. If you have ideas, if you want someone to come talk to your church or your civic group, I'm available to do that, because I need your assistance, and I need foster parents. We need foster parents here in Columbia County and across the state of Arkansas. Does anyone have any questions? Oh. And I do have some pamphlets, and, if you want a copy of them, go ahead.
considered to be a foster parent. Well, just real quick before we go, I want to share with you that research has shown that there are things that we can do to prevent child abuse. Things that we can do individually, things that we can do within our work settings, and things that we can do as a community. And so I'd like for you to see what those are real quick before we leave, and then we have something for you to take with you when you go, and it has those in there. But I'd ask you to just think about how can I, as an individual or as a member of a group, help to prevent child abuse and neglect. And one of the first factors that protective factor to prevent is parent-child nurturing and attachment. So can anybody think of something that helps to build a family's nurturing and attachment of their children? Any ideas? Absolutely. And that's one of the things that that is mentioned as a promotion of that infant bonding, breastfeeding does. You know, just the emotional responsiveness and an opportunity for a parent and an infant to have that time together to build that attachment is so very important. Also, the parent's knowledge of parenting skills and of child and youth development is another protective factor. I know in my work a lot of times the parent might not have a realistic expectation of what a child is able to do at a certain developmental level, and so they get in big trouble because they do something that is absolutely normal for a 4-year-old to do, or that sort of thing. So it's good for parents to understand child development and also how to do the things that will help to have a good relationship with the child. I was thinking about the swaddling. This is a new thing. Did y'all swaddle your babies? I had never heard of that when I had my children, but I've had some babies born in the family, and they're teaching them to swaddle the baby, where you tighten, it's get the blanket and fold it up really tight, and they're just like a little papoose, just like this. And it's absolutely amazing because they just instantly stop crying. So I've been astounded. So things like that, and that's what they're doing at the hospital, is teaching those sorts of things to our young people. Parental resilience, that psychological ability to cope with stress and adversity, and services such as the mental health center play a big role in helping parents to have psychological resilience to stress and being able to deal with stress in ways other than escaping through substance abuse or that sort of thing. And so in our community, our mental health services go a long way to helping with parental resilience. I'm going through a little bit faster than I had planned because it's almost 1 o'clock and I want to be able to get everybody out by 1. So if you have a part of a service that meets one of these protective factors, would you raise your hand and say, hey, we do that? Because that's part of what I would like to do, is to get the word out and help people to support those groups that are providing these types of services. Social connections for parents. So much of what we learn about how to raise our children, we learn from our own families and from our friends and what they do. But we have a lot of young parents who don't have family to help them through these things. So those social connections, whether it's through church or through an agency such as the Child Enrichment Center or Head Start, and all of those child-serving agencies are reaching out to parents and being a support person and a social connection and educational connection for young parents. And then the next protective factor that prevents child abuse is actual concrete support for parents. And I wanted to bring up in this concrete support for parents, of course you think about employment and other services such as SNAP and WIC, and then also at CADC, things such as the LIHEAP, or when people get into a bind with their utility bills, you know, do they know where to go? Do they know how to reach out and find help for those types of things? And so we want to try to get the word out about those. Also, you know, economic issues. Virginia Williamson with Central Arkansas Development Council, they do the Single Parent Scholarship Fund. And so, and Virginia was telling me today that they are looking for young people to apply for the Single Parent Scholarship this year. So if you know a young person who would like to go to college and is looking for a way to make that happen, then the Single Parent Scholarship is something that we want to consider, and it is available now for next year. And then also the social and emotional competence of children. And one of the things that we know from the research is that children who have disabilities are at a greater risk of abuse. And it's whether it's a physical disability, whether it is autism, whether it is ADHD, you know, or conduct disorders, just children who don't have the social and emotional competence really can wear on a parent, you know, pretty quickly. And a parent who doesn't have the psychological resilience to manage the stress of a child with a disability is more at risk of abuse. And so anything that we can do to help children to grow in a healthy way, whether it's, we now have early Head Start in Columbia County. We have Kids First that starts at age 0, and then we have Child Enrichment Center that picks up at age 3, I believe it is now. And so we have some wonderful resources to help our kids. Yes, and that's at birth even. And so, you know, if you have know of a parent or a family who has a child who might have delays or needs some extra services, or then please refer them to one of the great resources that we have in Columbia County. And so we'll skip through that, but we are working on a community resource directory for parents that we're going to give to parents who have children born at Magnolia Regional Medical Center. They will receive a community resource directory designed specifically for parents. And then I also would like for you to think about the things that you can do to help prevent child abuse and neglect in your personal or your work life, just by being knowledgeable of the community resources that are available and referring parents to the services that they need, and or being a friend or mentor to a new parent who might not have the support of their parent, or, you know, for some reason they are isolated. And then finding ways to make family-friendly neighborhoods and churches and businesses and schools and communities, reaching out to parents, being a CASA volunteer or a foster or adoptive parent, and then spreading the word about child abuse prevention. And the little thank you that you will receive today will have the number that you could call if you would like for me or someone else on the council to come speak to your group about child abuse prevention. We'd be more than happy to do that, and there's contact information for doing that. And then, you know, just supporting those who are working on the front lines with child abuse and prevention, whether it's through your time as a volunteer or, you know, financial contributions, are always something that we all need, especially in this day and time when budgets are tight. And yet we still have a lot of work to do, and so we can use everyone's help. Well, thank you all so much for coming out this afternoon. It was great to see you all, and hope to see you out and about in the community and maybe back here next year. Thanks.